What are the two major types of spiritual initiation? So, this is a topic that comes up, initiation, especially in the spirituality field, that one needs to get initiated in order to make progress in yoga or meditation. But it gets confused with different types of initiation because some people also, have certain rituals and not necessarily getting spiritually activated. And I wanted to discuss this a little bit more in detail in the video today. So if you like the contents of my videos, please don't forget to also like and subscribe to my channel. This will greatly help my channel to be able to reach out to more people. And one extra optional favor, if you could just drop a comment and share it with just one other person or one social media channel, this will very greatly help me, and I would appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. And anyway, bottom line is a very big thank you for spending your time and listening to me. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I know how precious your time is and what a privilege it is to have you, in my channel. And for those who don't know me, I am Osman. I'm a bioenergy healer uh, on a master level with telepathic healing capabilities, specializing in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses, amongst a host of other physiological, psychological, and spiritual ailments. I have an amazing offer currently, 10-minute anxiety fix for just $5. Um, Cheaper than price of a Starbucks coffee, by the way, and delivered to you telepathically, instantly, anywhere globally, and pay only after you are satisfied. And that goes for all of my treatments. You only pay after you receive it and after you are satisfied. And go to my website, yogawellness786.com, for more contact information. I'm also an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher, having been practicing this art form for almost 50 years and teaching for 44 years. And in that time, I've studied under various masters from different schools of thought, from different cultures across the globe, from the Far East, the Middle East, and the West, including the scientific community. Basically, I wanted to take the ancient sciences and adapt them for the 21st century, but making them simpler, easier, quicker, faster, more time efficient, and results oriented. To that end, I now have students in over 100 countries, and my favorite protocol is my 5-minute yoga and meditation program, which you could download for free by visiting my website, yogawellness786.com, in exchange to subscribing to my blog, and where you can get more information about my services. Also, remember, my therapies are all natural based and not a replacement for medical treatment. So, what is a spiritual initiation? Broadly, um, it is it involves, in the traditional sense, and what people normally understand spiritual initiation to be, when you get initiated into some type of mantra or into some type of yogic practice or some type of meditation practice. And without that initiation, people will struggle with making progress in any spiritual or yogic practice. So the common problem people have, say, do you meditate? They say, okay, occasionally. And why don't you meditate more often? Say, I find it difficult. What's the difficulty? Say, the mind keeps wandering. And this is the major difficulty. But for those who's initiated, they are more centered, and they feel something different when they start to meditate within a few minutes, right? The meditation um, frequency of the brain, that calmness, you can distinctly feel it when you are initialized. So what is that process? Is someone with advanced level of yoga and meditation, someone like myself, who has got um, mystical powers, right? You can say, or increased, or is very practiced in it. So instead of using the word mystical and using the word powers, say more practiced in it. He transfers his energy into you and clears out the blockages, the major blockages, and prepares you so that when you are practicing the meditation, he elevates you many steps ahead to where it's now easy. So what would have normally taken you 3 or 4 decades to achieve, but I would say realistically 10 to 15 years of practice daily. If you practice 10 to 15 years of 3 hours of meditation every morning, let's say from 3 a.m. in the morning, it will take you 10 to 15 years to achieve the level what you instantly get through spiritual initiation by someone who's advanced. So you save all the time, and it's not guaranteed in the 10 to 15 years you're going to reach that level. Initiation guarantees that you already given that advanced level, and from then you're going to be able to, very easily make progress with consistent practice, right? So when we say easily make progress, it's still going to take you a long time, right? But you will start experiencing, um, the progress and the development, as you are practicing over 3 to 6 month intervals. Every 3 to 6 months you notice some improvement, until you come to a level of total tranquility and so forth. But I notice some people who's meditating like for 50 years, and they reach the tranquil state, but that's all they achieve, right? Nothing further. And they need guidance from a proper advanced master, because you ought not to get stuck. It's just that you don't have techniques and ways to go further. Once you start going to higher and higher levels, it becomes that much more difficult to go to the next level. So go from level one to level two, maybe it's going to take you 3 to 6 months. Then from level two to level three, let's assuming 7 levels, right? 7 chakras, 7 major chakras, right? To correct myself. From level two to three, maybe it's going to take you 2 years. From level three to four may take you 5 years. From level four to five may take you 10 years additionally, and number 5 to 6 may take you 20 years. I'm just exaggerating, and from the 6 to 7 may take you 50 years, like that. So it becomes more and more difficult as you're going up, and that's why you come to certain levels and you get stuck. But there is ways to shorten the process, and shortcuts and so forth to speed up, the progress, because I know it's very common that people reach the level of the sixth chakra, the third eye opening, and then they practicing for 10 years and they seem to be stuck there. They're not stuck. It's so much difficult to go from year to the seventh, and sometimes near impossible. In order to go from the sixth to the seventh, according to Sadhguru, you either need faith, right? Faith in a higher power, because it's like you're going to plunge into an abyss, of total faith that you're not going to be lost into nothingness and a void, or the assistance of someone like an advanced level yoga meditation teacher like myself, and or you must be gone insane, right? And the stress being you gone insane to just try to on faith take a leap, into an abyss, right? um, this is according to Sadhguru. But my students that I teach, they don't have any difficulty because I spiritually initialize them. So this is the one type of spiritual initialization, and there's varying degrees of mastery according to the advanced levels of teachers that can spiritually initialize you. Some don't, or I would say majority don't know how to spiritually initiate people. They do initiate, but they can't help you when you go into problems, and they don't teach you the shortcuts, and they just do a minimal initiation, and there's a lot of stumbling blocks along the way, that when you get reach a certain level of advancement, like when the kundalini awakens, for example, it can still be very, very adverse, right? The result can be very adverse. So a typical example is Gopi Krishna, when he had his kundalini awakening. He's very famous. You can Google him. He passed away in 1984. I think he was born in 1903, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or 1897, around there, right? And in 1937, he had his adverse Kundalini awakening, and where he was sick, extremely ill for 9.5 weeks, couldn't even go to work, bedridden, and took him 4 years to overcome all the psychological um, upset that he had to work through before he could recommence, meditation. And then he continued for a further 12 years, and then got established in the superconscious state permanently, thereafter. So this first type of spiritual initiation, the common, what everyone knows, um, is is something very dangerous, and you have to be careful, and find the right teacher that's not going to also, once you get initiated by them, you're going to be obligated to follow that doctrine as well, because it is a spiritual vow which you cannot cancel, right? So you taking this as a joke that you got free will and no one can tell you what to do, and you can decide to stop what you want to do. And once you're spiritually initialized, there's you're eternally connected to that person, right? Eternally, right? And there's like, it's not easy to come out of it. It's a vow. You can't reverse back. You don't understand these things, right? You don't understand. You don't even know whether there's a year after, what happens, after you die and all that. You don't know whether there's a really, life after death and so forth, and you don't understand these things. But this type of thing you can't come out of, generally speaking, right? So it's a very dangerous thing. It's a warning. The second major type of spiritual initialization is where you take a vow in a religious organization. Like in Christianity, you're getting baptized. In Islam, taking the oath, right? The testament. You're taking testament oath that on that you're accepting there's only one God, and that you accept the Prophet Muhammad as the prophet of God, the prophet and the messenger of God, and you take that oath, in a certain ritual. In the Islamic one, is very simple, that they make you, raise a finger in the presence of, there'll be one person, making you to repeat it, and there'll be two other, witnesses that will witness it, and they usually have two male witnesses, and they also have to be Muslim. And this is a type of spiritual initiation, where you now, from that moment onwards, you fall under the ambit of uh, intercession of that order, the prophets from that order. So you get baptized, and they say, for example, that you are saved, right? Your sins have been washed and you are saved. And when you die, you're going to die as a Christian, whether you go to church or don't go to church, but you believe, you took that oath, right? So you qualify to go to the kingdom of heaven on judgment day. So those who are practicing Christians, who are faithful, in their practice, or practicing Muslims, they, when they pass over, there's a special place that they go to. It's like a temporary intermediary heaven until the day of judgment. So I'm giving you the theories, right? I'm not asking you to believe this or disbelieve it. It's the theories in this type of spiritual. And I strongly believe, because I spent decades, right, studying this very intensely from a scientific perspective as well. Studying various people who had NDEs, near death experiences and so forth, and OBEs, out of body experience. Myself having out of body experience as well. Being an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher. So a lot of people feel that they are baptized or they are Muslim and they are saved and everything. Yes, ultimately on the day of judgment you say, but doesn't mean you're going to be in an amazing condition if you wasn't a practicing Muslim or a practicing Christian. So of course there's other religions as well. I'm just mentioning these two major religions, which is got billions of people following it, right? So there are many. There's 100 new religions being formed every year, currently. So there's so many different types of rules and regulations. But when it comes to these two, the mistake people make is they feel, oh, there's no problem, I'm a Christian and I'm saved, right? And they go maybe twice a year to church, right? On if they do, and engage in all types of activities that are forbidden in the Bible or forbidden in the Quran, right? And engaging in, say, no, I'm forgiven. I will go to the Friday prayer and I'll be practicing, or I'll go to the Sunday service and I'll be fine. Yes, what will happen on the day of judgment eventually, you there is a promise that you will be forgiven your sins and by Jesus or by God, or they will intercede for you. So, in my opinion, Jesus and the prophets, or Moses, right? If you're a Jew, or whichever religion, right? There's prophets in all lands, all cultures, all, because the Quran says there's 125,000 prophets sent to the earth in the before Prophet Muhammad, to all parts of the world, including China and including Australia, the Aborigine tribe, and including to, North America, the original, native Indian tribes, and to the South Americans and the Latinos, and, to Europe as well, everywhere, right? Not only, a Jew, to the Israeli Jewish community, right? Because Jesus was a Jew, and not only to the Arabic community, right? There's prophets everywhere, right? So we don't know all. There's only a few that are named in the Quran, a handful, I think 25 or so out of 125,000, right? So each prophet will be able to intercede for their people, right? On the day of judgment. There's going to be a day of judgment, and you will be the same. But until the day of judgment, after you pass over, once you spiritually initialize, you will go to an afterlife where it can be a very miserable condition as well if you are extremely sinful, right? And you're going to be suffering until the day of judgment, and then you'll be taken out of that suffering by those who's going to intercede for you, by those leaders on the day of judgment. It can take maybe just only, maybe day of judgment is near, or maybe it's going to take thousands of years, millions of years, for day of judgment to come. Until that time, you're going to be either in a good condition in the intermediary hereafter, or in a very bad condition, right? So that second type of spiritual initialization, where you get promised into a certain fold or certain religion, and promised admittance into the kingdom of heaven, is got this caveat, right? That people don't talk about and don't know, because as energy healer, I'm also doing spiritual healing. People who passed away under unnatural circumstances, like committed suicide or prematurely died, or for whatever reason, right? There could be 1,000 reasons, but the soul is restless, and I'm able to release the soul, right? I know how to do that, and give them relief, because they are in a situation that they need relief. They are not okay. They are very disturbed and troubled, right? And they haven't passed over correctly into the light. So I have to get them to pass over into the light. So when I say into the light, I'm referring to what is described in the scientific circles according to Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in a book on death and dying, which is accepted in the medical field and the scientific community, of what you can expect to happen, after death, and eventually they all see, a light, and they crossing over. So the crossing over becomes difficult for, a lot of people, and I can assist people to cross over. And of course, people, have dreams of their loved ones that, passed away, and they are very, disturbed, and it's recurring dreams, and they feel these dreams are vivid, that it's possible that they are true, and that's how it comes to me, and then I'm able to do that. So these are the two major types of spiritual initiations, that and the warnings and what's generally involved. Just giving a little bit. It's a very deep science on both methods, and it can take many lectures to go into all the details. But I hope this general broad outline can give you a basic understanding on the two major types of spiritual initializations, and some warning signs as well, for you to heed, and not take for granted. So hope that information helps you, and take care of yourself always.